had a really great session with one of my business acceleration clubs this last week. And really what it highlights for me and for my clients as well, of course, is that we are selling all the time, right? Like you're selling and you're conniving and you're trying to think what you should say rather than feel what you should say. When you think what you should say, that's exactly how it comes out. This is what I think I should say to make you part with your money. People can feel that shit, right? They don't want to feel that. People are savvy. They want to feel your soul talking to their soul. Now, that is not some clever group of words that is put together in a certain way that is going to make people buy, right? Every single copy shooter is now going to shoot me, right? But it's true. A copywriter can convince someone to buy, but is that buyer going to be happy? And are they going to be a soul client for you? And are they going to find you magnetically? Or are they going to find that what you have isn't really what they wanted all along because they were convinced to buy it, right? If you want genuine, authentic clients coming to find you instead of the other way around, right? Like if you are sick and tired of hustling, if you're sick and tired of doing the next thing, being on the hamster wheel, oh my goodness, here's my next freebie, and here's what I'm doing on my newsletter, and here's what I'm doing on my Facebook ads. If you're just completely and utterly sick and tired of doing that and you're ready for clients to be magnetic to you, then there's something that you need to change. It's a bit of a secret, right? You need to change the way that you're doing things. You need to stop engaging the brain and engage the heart. Now, this is exactly what I teach my Fempowered group every single week, right? We turn up for half an hour online, bang, bang, bang. We get deep into soul. We find out what the messages are. We find out what the next step is. And that brings clients magnetically. We're doing it the wrong way. You don't need to be conniving. You don't need to sell to your clients. You need to know what is in your soul. You need to know what the message is that wants to come out of you and share that. Now, I get it, right? Because when I was working with my business acceleration club, they're like, yeah, but how? So I got all of them to have weight practice, right? It was harder for them than what they thought it was going to be because they're like, well, I think, I'm like, well, there's your first mistake. Stop thinking. What is it that you actually want to say? If you follow any of the leaders on Facebook, the stuff that gets the most engagement is the most random shit, right? And it's when they're talking from the soul. It's when they're thinking about, this has riled me up and I'm going to talk about this right now. That is what makes it magnetic. And people are like, huh, yeah, I think that exact same thing. And people want to work with people that are like them. People want to work with people that get them, right? Because if somebody gets you, if a coach gets you, or whoever you want to work with, if they understand you, then you know that they're going to know what your problems are and what the solution is, right? But you don't need to say, this is the problem and this is your solution. Your problem is that you are selling and your solution is tapping into soul. Well, that's not going to make anyone listen, right? They already know that. You're telling them something that they already know. But if you turned up and said, look, this is what happens, right? We get into our brain and really we need to get into our heart, and this is how I get into my heart. Like, I'm so sick and tired of seeing people not connecting to their heart and just watching other people shit and then spurting it back out and expecting your clients to engage with it when they've seen it 10 times already. Clients can spot fake-assery a mile off, right? So to be authentic, you actually have to be authentic. You can't pretend to be authentic. That's the whole point of being authentic, right? Authenticity is because it's unique to you. And then we fall into all these traps. Oh, but I don't have anything unique to say. What I'm doing in the world isn't unique. And I hear this from my clients all the time. But honestly, darling, if you're having these thoughts, it's because it's your absolute gift. And you're like, why would anyone pay me for this? This is just so easy. Like, everyone can do this. No, darling, not everyone can do the special magic that you do in the world. It's just you think they can because it's so damn easy to you because it's your superpower, right? But I guarantee you, if you're like, this is frustrating me, I'm seeing this and I wish I could tell people to do it this way because it's so much easier. Now, if you just turned up and talked about that, it would be so much more magnetic. You don't even need to come up with some fancy sales script or a fancy offer. You can talk about tapping into soul and the magic of doing that and how you need to find your authentic voice. And, this particular meditation is a way to do it. And by the way, I'm doing that next Thursday. You can join Fempowered by jumping onto my website, michellebusinesscoach.com, right? So you just add a call to action to whatever you're feeling inspired and motivated and rankled or loved up by, but it has to have some emotion. If it doesn't have any emotion, it's going to fall flat and it's going to sound like marketing speak and sales and selling. And people are sick and tired of being sold to, right? They can smell that fake-assery. So this is what I did with my clients, right? Because it's very easy. The first It's just like journaling, right? When I get my clients to journal, I make them journal for 20 minutes at least, and they all hate it. Yes, me too, right? Like I hate journaling for so long as well. But the first 10 or 15 minutes that you write, it's just going to be shit. Until you get really practice, it's just going to be shit that you think people want you to say, or what you should say, or what the right thing to say is. But once you're like, oh my goodness, right, I'm sick of this already, and you're like, right, rah, and then the gold comes out. Well, it's the same with when you talk, right? Like when you first show up to talk, you might say, hey, I'm Michelle and I'm a business coach and I help clients get, scale from 6 figures to 7 figures, that really tricky patch in between where, you've done all the hustle and you got the big results and you're happy with your income, but you're exhausted now. You're on burnout, right? Because you realize that you're swapping time for money and you can't quite scale this model. And plus there are some clients you don't particularly enjoy, but you want the money, and you'd like to be like those other people you see, making more money, having more time to themselves, right? But that's all sales speak. It's all shit, right? Like, did you just start going, oh God, I don't want to watch this anymore? Because it's fucking conniving, right? Like, it's convincing. Whereas if I talked about how, if I just started riffing, right? Like just riff, just like you're a jam session, with other musicians. You're just riffing and jamming and you're like, yeah, imagine that you're talking to your best friend. You're phoning up your best friend. You're like, oh, I'm so sick of people sales and doing these sales. And then they're like, I tried my business for 3 months and it didn't work. I tried all these sales techniques. Into those business groups on Facebook, right? What else can I do to advertise my business? Oh, please don't advertise your business. Get into soul instead, right? I'm so sick and tired of people thinking that there's one strategy or there's one way or there's one magic pill. Sure, we need to take the actions, but they need to be aligned actions. And they're not going to be aligned unless you get deep into you. And whatever is deep in you, and I did this example with my clients just this week. It was this week. And so I just got them to start talking. And then one of them came out with some pure gold later on, right? It was related to nothing. Absolutely nothing to do with what she's doing in industry, but it was pure from the soul. It was about how she's feeling at the moment and this and that and the other. Boy, it was powerful. It's like someone poured gasoline all over the message and lit it on fire, right? You could tell it was from the soul. And then all she would have needed to do is add a call to action. So just find a link to, I feel this emotion, blah, blah, blah. Do you feel this emotion? Well, then this thing that I'm doing actually helps you to analyze that emotion and use it to get more clients, or use it to find peace, or use it to whatever, right? So just find a link between what you're talking about and what you're here to do in the world, because I guarantee you, what is in your soul, what you're feeling right now is your soul. Sometimes not just tapping you on the shoulder, sometimes slapping you around the head, right? Hey, bitch, listen to what I'm telling you. This is what the world needs to hear. If it's on your mind, like if you're feeling tired, right? Like don't turn up and be like all bubbly and rah! Turn up and say, today I'm just feeling so tired. I feel like, I'm on the treadmill in my business and I'm like, why is this not working? And it just gets so frustrating. Do you just feel like that sometimes? Like you just want to burn it all to the ground? Like, hell, I've hustled my ass off all week and then I spent half an hour scrolling on Facebook, which I shouldn't have done because I saw everyone else and they look like they're living their best life. And now I just feel terrible. And what do I actually do to get myself out of a slump? Well, if you feel like that, this is what I find works for me, right? I do some Kundalini yoga for half an hour. And by the way, I'm doing some Kundalini yoga sessions next week specifically around energy and intentionally getting clients. And if you want to sign up for that, I'm not, right? I'm ripping. I'm making this up. But I could do. So this is how you tie what you're feeling into what you're offering, right? It's never going to be sleazy or yucky or salesy because it's coming from your soul and what you're feeling and then what you're here to do in the world. And what you're here to do in the world is not convince people to part with their money, right? It's never about the money. Not for us soul-led entrepreneurs. Yes, absolutely you should be making the damn money, right? Because the universe wants you to have the money so that you can do all of these things that make your energy amazing, which makes the whole world amazing, which makes you turn up in an even bigger and better way for your clients. And if you're not charging your clients money, then A, they're not going to come, right? Because why would I do it for free? Is it really that great? Or B, they're not going to get the maximum effect out of it. Yeah, that free thing, I just won't even turn up to it, right? So people have to have some skin in the game to do it. And this is true, right? Like, I don't know if you've had coaching before, but certainly for me, and when I have, and I still have coaching, right? Like, what kind of coach would I be if I wasn't being coached? But for me, whenever I up-leveled the amount or I got a new coach that was even like twice, 3 times, 4 times as much, it made me damn well up level my game, right? Because the things and the thoughts and the beliefs that those people at the higher level have are completely different to yours. And here's the truth: you're not going to get from there to there with the same set of beliefs, right? It's like you're not going to go from walking around the block to running a marathon with the same pair of sneakers. You need different sneakers. I've never run a marathon, just to clarify that. So how can you riff in your business? How can you just start, riffing along? And I said to my clients, just start talking. And once you feel the flow, right? Like, and if you don't know flow already, like if you're not tapped into your soul, then you must be on my FemPad, right? Here's my call to action. Jump onto my website, michellebusinesscoach.com, and click the link for FemPad Empire Building. Hot as freaking hell. 50% off while we're in launch phase, right? Super hot. But it's all about tapping into your soul and getting the real messages out so you get to the real clients. So it's all about making money, but from soul. So you can just start talking until you feel that flush of flow, and you can tell flow, right? You can tell flow in other people. Their voice changes. They get a state change. In coaching, we call it a state change, right? Like their pupils dilate. They start to get all animated, and their voice might even change a little bit, right? Like it's like they've tapped into something else. And you specifically in your body might start to feel a bit tingly. You might feel a little bit hot. For me, I feel prickles all over my skin when I'm really tapping into soul. So you might notice some of those things in yourself. And when I channel, I'm like a fire, no, not like a fire hydrant that'll be putting it out. I feel like I'm like a firecracker or something. I was like whoosh, like I'm having a menopausal flush, and I'm not even in menopause. So TMI for you, right? You don't even need to know about my hormones. But how can you start riffing and just talking about what's coming from your soul instead of worrying about what am I going to say in this scheduled post, and how am I going to sell this thing this week, and I should only be selling on 2 days out of the 5. Really? Because it's not selling. You're offering your soul. You're offering a life change. You're offering a massive impact for somebody. That is not selling. You would be selfish to not offer it. So get out there, get riffing, get talking to soul. And if that's not coming easy, if it's not flow for you, get into FemPad Empire Building. While it's 50% off, like you'd be absolutely freaking nuts not to, right? Like it starts, I think the 1st of June it starts. So your payment cycle starts then, and you get it 50% off for whatever time you sign up for. I think I've got 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. But you also get to come and attend all of that time beforehand and get all of these beautiful bonus courses right up until we start in June. You'd be crazy not to join, right? You're getting like 2 months for free. It's crazy insane. Anyway, guys, have a fabulous day. I hope you've thoroughly enjoyed watching this, and I'd love to hear some of your riffs. Like, what is your soul talking to you about at the moment? What is on your mind? What emotions are you feeling? Go ahead and riff in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Have a fabulous day forward, and remember, together we shall rise.